Hey, Ron here from Military Images Magazine. Thanks for joining me for a new episode of Life on the Civil War Research Trail. Got to tell you, I'm a news junkie, always have been. Ever since I was a kid, newspapers, television, I love the rough and tumble of the process of American politics. And I've watched this week's drama to elect the Speaker of the House of Representatives with the same fascination as I did when I was a kid. I've also been thinking, particularly while I'm watching, about the House Clerk, the Honorable Cheryl L. Johnson. If you've been watching, you've seen this face. She's the presiding officer, usually someone who is an inconspicuous figure in the background. Now she's in the forefront of activity as the person in charge until a speaker is elected. Her presence, her consistent presence throughout this process, has caused me to wonder about her predecessor during the infamous 1856 Speaker of the House election. You've heard about this if you've tuned into the news at all. 133 ballots. It was a record. I did a little searching. It didn't take me very long to find out who that individual was. Here's his picture. He is John Weiss Forney. He was born in Pennsylvania. He is a newspaper editor, interested in politics, and he winds up coming to Washington, D.C. and serving 2 stints as clerk of the U.S. House of Representatives. The first one lasts from 1851 to 1856. The second from 1860 to 1861. So he's present as House Clerk during some of the most tumultuous times in U.S. history. He goes on to serve during the war as the Secretary of the Senate, stays in that role until 1868, leaves the office, writes some books, returns to journalism, dies in 1881 at age 64. So he's a really interesting character. During that first stint in the House, Forney presides over that fractious fight for Speaker that ends in the 133rd ballots. That last ballot elects Nathaniel Prentice Banks, who's a Massachusetts congressman, a future Civil War general, not remembered as the best Civil War general, but Banks gets the Speaker's gavel. All along this period, Forney, his tact as presiding officer, wins the applause and the respect of both parties. After Banks delivers his brief opening remarks, then he is sworn in. At that point, the members of the House recognize Forney for his fortitude during that 133 ballot process, and they offer a formal resolution to honor him. I want to read you this brief but formal resolution. Quote, resolved that the thanks of the House are eminently due and hereby tendered to John W. Forney for the distinguished ability, fidelity, and impartiality with which he has presided over the deliberations of this House during the arduous and protracted contest for Speaker. As you might expect, the House unanimously adopts the resolution, and Forney promptly melts into the background, which is where most clerks ultimately are. So back to the current clerk and Cheryl Johnson, I'm really curious to see if today's House of Representatives extends a similar honor to her once the balloting is over. We'll wait and see. Thanks for tuning in to today's video. We'll see you the next time. Until then,